Hey there, this is Dr. Pam Perry, and I'm here with our cover girl, Betty Hines, and we are on the Black Speakers Network, official magazine for BSN, blackspeakersnetwork.com. And I'm so excited because this month, Women Elevating Women. Brian is not here, but he is here in spirit because he is on a good little vacay again. But I appreciate all the BSM family. We're going to dig into this issue and introduce you to Betty Hines. She's bringing the pages alive. And one of the things, she's a founder CEO of Women Elevating Women. And she is also a business strategist and certified advanced facilitator. If we can kind of zoom in on that, look at this beautiful cover. There you go. So there. So you see Betty here. So the magazine is brand spanking new, just came out. The center, we'll go through it as well. There is Betty in that power pose. I love it. But we're going to talk about Betty's career, where she started, what is Woo Crew, what is Women Elevating Women all about. And she is actually from Michigan, which is where I'm from as well. So let's start there. Okay. Let's start where Betty, where you're from, how you ended up where you are now, and then give us kind of like a little bit of the career milestones in between.
Sure, absolutely. First, thank you, Pam. Thank you, Dr. Pam, for having me and giving me an opportunity to share a story. I'm very excited about that. So let's talk about where I started. You're right, we're from Michigan. I was born in North Carolina, an Army brat, but my formative years were in Michigan. So that's where I grew up, from elementary through high school and then to college. So I'm a Michigander by heart. And out of Michigan, I then moved to Ohio for a corporate position. I was a junior broker consultant. At that time, they did not have, you could count in the country how many minority brokerage consultants they had at that time. And I was the only woman. It was a large company. It merged with another one, and I won't name their names, but it was a huge one. So I was training to be a full broker. So that's when I first got into the financial service industry. I did that for a while and enjoyed it. I spent most of my time working on pension plans for small businesses. So that was my first taste into entrepreneurship. I enjoyed working with these small businesses, and that was out of Cleveland, Ohio, helping them put together either with a key man policy if they had a partner, or just doing that. So I love the financial services, but it got to the point where I had a child, and being a junior broker, just being a broker in general, you have a lot of evening appointments. That just didn't work out well with a small child. So I left that position, that role, and it took about 3 months off, and then joined a property and casualty company as an underwriter. Again, at this large property and casualty company, they did not have a lot of people of color representation. If they did have people of color, they would put them in sales, or they would put them on what we call services or operation. But then they had an initiative where they wanted to bring more people into the underwriting, the financial services side. And based off my background in college, that's where I went. So I became an underwriter, yes. And just soared through, just been very blessed to be in scale corporately, moved up the ladder quickly. But back in those days, for women to prove that you were worthy, what we had to do is relocate a lot. Either it was a temporary duty assignment of 3 months, but the movement was disruptive, but they housed you in very nice facilities. So I did a lot of relocating. I think in my total career with this and the other companies, I probably relocated at least 10 times. Wow. So probably probably why my first marriage didn't last. All that movement.
That's a lot of that, because they
A
say
lot of movement.
besides death, moving is like the biggest stressor, right? Like
Oh,
that people can
goodness.
have. Oh my God.
Yes. And I never got the prime assignments. And some of the states that I had weren't accustomed to seeing people of color in them, even now, like Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, and Montana, Wyoming.
Mm-mm,
Yes, and
mm-mm.
I've always had multi-complex regions to underwrite. So that is the sort of my corporate career. I was a C-suite executive, went into this corporation as this uh, associate director. I think that was the title. That was a director in underwriting. And from there was recruited out east. Uh,
Wow.
and that was to start a turnaround operation of a company here in Maryland. It was a regional company. It was a big regional company. And I wanted to be part of that turnaround because the CEO recently appointed, no elected CEO was the strategic guru for Jack Welch. And
Mm.
back in my day, Jack Welch was the
That
business.
was everything. That was
He was
everything.
everything.
The thing that I like about your career is that I love the music in the background. Thank you, Monet. Our producer just kind of gave us a little bit of mood music.
That's all right.
But one of the things is that you were always a trailblazer. And it's always for women of color, black women especially,
Mhm.
looking at generations of maybe three generations back, our grandparents
Yeah,
maybe were sharecroppers, or even our grandparents could have
yeah.
been like just coming out of slavery. So we've got like sharecropper slavery, first
Mhm,
generation, maybe going to college,
mhm.
or just graduating from high school. Then next generation just going to U of M, those kind of things, right? Remember, we had
Right,
HBCUs because they weren't letting us in the colleges. And
right.
then you graduate from there, and now you're breaking more ceilings and barriers and trailblazers. So tell us a little bit about that, because a lot of times what people will say for black people, especially, and black women, is like, oh, you speak so well for a black woman. Have you ever had that in your career?
Of course, of course.
It's
But
like,
a lot of
how
it
are you
had
supposed to
has
talk?
attributed a lot of that to my parents. My mother was born and raised in Evanston, Illinois.
Okay.
In fact, my grandmother is has not full Cherokee, but she has Indian blood,
Hmm.
as well as my grandfather was a slave. But
Wow.
my grandmother served as it was a nanny, and my grandfather was a chef.
Wow.
So my mother graduated from high school at 16 from Evanston, Illinois.
She's
Um,
smart.
very smart. She was the salutatorian of her high school.
Wow.
So that she could have gone to college. I mean, Howard University recruited her, but back then, the men, my grandfather had to sign off. My grandmother was all for it because she had a sister that was living there, a cousin, but he would not sign off to let my mother go to college.
Yeah,
So,
especially out of town. Right.
oh yeah, it was like the men are supposed to go, not the women to go to college, further her career.
And
So,
even so,
yeah,
think about that. That's just one generation behind you, where
yes,
women weren't even quote
minute.
unquote working outside of the
Hmm.
home.
Hmm.
Okay. And
Yeah.
so now you have this daughter, your mother, like you said, your mother kind of raised you, pushed you along. And it's like, yeah, she's gonna go to
Mhm.
college, and now she's gonna work outside the home. And you're like running everything. You're in industries
Yeah.
where they don't see people of color, much less women,
Yeah.
underwriters, financial services, what I call like the hard fields, right? That's
Yeah.
dealing with money.
Yeah.
You're dealing with the money.
Education was always big in my family. And my mother, though no one graduated from college, my mother, all six of there's six of us. I'm the youngest of six. All
Wow.
six of us went to college
That's
and advanced
amazing.
degrees. And my mother returned back to college when she was like about, I think it's 48,
What?
48 years old. Yeah. Yeah. She went back to
She's
college.
amazing.
And yeah, and she graduated from Michigan State in food sciences, and then
MSU, go green, and you went to.
University of Michigan. I'm the only
Okay.
one. That's the
I
story behind
know,
that.
I was gonna say, I had to bring that up.
There's a story behind that. They got the wrong transcripts, and so I only applied to one college, and that was Michigan State because my big brother, everybody was there,
Everybody, yeah.
and they got the wrong because they had that racism in small town USA, and
Mhm.
the wrong transcripts were sent, and I was so devastated, and it just by God's will. the recruiter came on a little small high school, our small town, and he says, "What's going on here?" And so I got a full ride to the University of Michigan, and I did not want to go
Yeah, because
because,
everybody else is going to state, and you
right,
were
I was,
like
I was
the
like,
only
that's
one
only
that's going to Ann Arbor. Right, right, right. Uh-oh. What
got
happened
it all
to
straightened
Betty?
out that I was going to go to state, young. And it was kind of like, was I 17 at that time? It's kind of like, I'm not going. I'm going to Michigan. So that's how I ended up at Michigan, and everybody else is at Michigan State.
Wow. See, that's one of the things. And that does really change the trajectory of where you go, because then
It
you meet
does.
a different group of people.
Mhm.
Not that Michigan State doesn't have people from all over the
No.
world
Mhm.
go there, but it is a different kind of elitist club, I will say. Presidents go to if Gerald
Yes.
Ford, I think Michigan, all that kind of Michigan. So this right here, women elevating women. So you saw the need,
Mhm.
really women helping women in these C-suite positions, all the different type of organizations that you probably were a part of along the way. So let's talk about how Woo came about, and maybe some of the organizations that you had, and why you felt like yours is different and you needed to
Sure.
create it.
Absolutely. Thank you. Um, After I got out of corporate America, I always had, and I believe this to a lot of corporate women. That's why I go with the six figures. Corporate women, in the back of their mind, if they're doing six figures, typically they're running they got a mini P&L going on right there.
Mhm,
So in
mhm.
the back of my mind, I always wanted, because I worked long, 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 long hours. So me and my now husband and three other partners said, we're doing this for other companies. We need to do our own. We
There
need to
you
do
go.
our own. And so we would work, and we were all executives, officers of this company in Baltimore. We would work till like 6, 7 o'clock, get a quick bite, and then we would meet and put together a business plan to raise capital to start our own property casualty company. It was a boutique company. So fast forward, we did all the dog and pony shows on New York, Wall Street, and in Chicago. And we were so excited because, like in 1999, our first infusion of capital was $10 million. And
Whoa.
we're like, whoa,
Oh my,
we're there.
yes.
And I'm sharing this piece to share why I took this journey. We raised the 10 million, but we were
Mhm.
all coming out of corporate America. And had we known, if we knew about some of these other organizations, such as, well, Who was in existence, but a Woman President's Organization, or Vista, some of these other resources, which a lot of us don't know about, we would have asked for 50 million instead of 10 million,
Mm.
because it's the same due diligence. So yeah, but in our industry, that 10 million was surplus.
Oh, okay.
So we were constantly going out asking for money. And then there was timing that we had no control. Enron happened, and then there was this law in
Mm.
47 where companies couldn't finance another company like business. And then
Mm.
we had 9/11. So that was not the time to be in the insurance industry. So we spun off our business.
Mhm.
So that was after 5 years, of having a property and casualty based in DC and
Mm.
in Baltimore. We were boutique operation. We had our own paper.
Mhm.
So that is how we started. But then I said, okay, let me just take a breather and just kind of figure out what I want to do. And that's when WPO, Woman Presidents Organization, the
Ah.
founder, reached out to me, because with all the places that I traveled, you run into different people. And she knew somebody who knew somebody, and she wanted to launch this WPO in Maryland. And she says, well, I know somebody. And there you
And
go.
that was you, and that was you. And
Mhm.
that is, and for people who don't know, in order to be in WPO, you have to have $1 million, I believe, in revenue in order to be considered.
Right.
So it's a
1 million
very,
for service, gross revenues, and 2 million if your product.
yes, yes. So it's a very exclusive
Mhm.
organization. Not a lot of women of color in it. There are a few.
A
So
lot more than it was when I started.
yeah, yeah. The internet is kind of like the level the playing field for a lot of different
Yes, it
things.
has.
One of the speakers at your conference that you're having is one of those people that
Mhm.
the internet really has changed the trajectory of her business. She's a data uses data from the internet, and is now 120 over $100 million surplus company. So you're rolling with those type of things, women elevating women. Tell why exactly from the organizations that you're part of. So you were running the one in Maryland, the WPO, and then how did WU actually birth and start and germinate as your mission? I guess you would say that.
Sure,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, I've been with the Women Presidents Organization for 17 years. I
Wow.
was one of the first, of one of two first, I won't even say minority, African American chapter chairs that they had. And chapter chairs are
Wow.
facilitators for these organizations.
And
So,
WPO is okay. So you've been with them 17 years. How
yeah,
old is WPO?
it's 27 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
20.
almost 30 years.
Yes,
So
yes.
think about that. So that was
Hmm.
in the 70s or so, right?
Hmm.
They
Right.
started.
That's just when
And
they, yeah. And so,
give give people a little bit about how just amazing this is. So this is in the 70s. Civil rights legislation happened late 60s.
yes.
Okay.
And
And so
so
this organization
WPO
started
was
in
like
WPO.
19, gosh, in the late 80s. Because, it's about 30 years old and we're like
Mhm,
2003. Yeah, yeah,
mhm,
670.
mhm.
So, yeah, a lot of that was not happening for women in general, particularly
No,
for women of color.
right, right.
So, what I noticed, I had been facilitating and enjoyed it. I loved sharing experiences
Mm,
with other women, and that is something that we know that women love experientially, and
yes.
that's sharing experiences with others. So I wanted to, I did that, and I loved it. So I've facilitated the local chapters, and those are women who are doing 1 to 2 million, up to 10 million, and then I had a Zenith group. These are women that are doing over 50 million. There were 4 billionaires that were affiliated with my group, and so I thought
Wow.
this is great. This is wonderful. But just to give a little data, in this country, there's only barely 4% all women that do gross revenues over 1 million. And if you
4%.
Yes,
4% of
yes,
all
all
women.
women. If you break it out by ethnicity,
Gross revenue of a
it's
million.
it's it's, it's a
Mhm,
fraction. So
mhm.
knowing that, it was tugging at my heart, and I saw that there were like about 8 to 10% of women that are in that six figures and kind of stuck.
Mm.
It's like, where do we go now? So having been doing this for a while, I did the assessment that, in my opinion, the reason why the women aren't able to scale higher is because they don't have access to information, resources. Capital is one of them. It's a different type of capital if you're under $1 million that you're going after. First and foremost, the women need to be educated. Do you know what kind of capital you need? And
Mm.
what are you looking to access? So because of that, I said, this is the market that I want to nurture. I
Mm.
want to nurture this group of women that are and not just entrepreneurs. I also incorporate the business
Corporate.
professionals.
Mhm.
Exactly. Because like the entrepreneur is trying to get into corporate America. So why not bring those women into the fold so we
Yes.
can learn from each other?
I love that. And one of the things is just using all of your background, all of your background as an
Mhm.
entrepreneur in the financial services industry, all of those things, because people of women of color, especially when women elevating women, is capital and connections. And you're a connector.
Absolutely.
You're a connector. So let's kind of, Monet, go through some of the women elevating women woo elevation acceleration conference that's coming up in September in Minneapolis, and really give us a little bit of what this themes conference and why you chose it. And Minneapolis is, for people to know, she talked about corporate. That's where a lot of major corporations are headquartered,
Absolutely.
Target being one of them. So but
Mhm.
anyway, tell us a little bit about who are some of the headliners, I guess you would say, for woo, for
Mhm.
the conference and the dates.
Yes, we selected Minneapolis. It was intentional for what you spoke of in terms of the Fortune 500. It's like about 20 that
Wow.
are headquartered right
That's
there in
major.
Minnesota. Who knew, right?
Hmm.
So it's really what I will always have my conference based off the premises of my 5 pillars of success. So we got elevation, acceleration. So at this conference, we have the speakers who are the experts on a topic, on a subject matter. We have Marjorie Krause. Marjorie Krause is APCO Worldwide. She does communications, crisis communications.
Mm-hmm.
across the world. She's across the globe, a lot of it in Africa and Minna. So she's going to speak because we have women. One of the things that we don't realize, you can scale across the pond, across the waters. I mean, you don't have to
Yes.
just, and I'm always telling the women, you have to get outside your zip code.
And even speakers as well. Speakers, I
Oh,
mean, we could speak all over the United States. I had a client, Dr. Roslyn, and she said when she spoke on the largest stages in South Africa, in
yes,
Johannesburg, she said it
yes,
was amazing. She said that
yes.
they were, I think she told me it was like 5,000 people
Beautiful.
that she spoke in front of. I said, she says,
Hmm.
you would have never done that in the States.
No,
Like,
no,
wow.
no. We're very comfortable staying within our circle, maybe speaking at the church or speaking at a little small conference. And there's nothing wrong with that because those people need the same information as well. But we have to be willing to spread our wings and soar. And you're going to soar outside the zip code, outside your county, outside your state.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the whole premise of WOO, is to get that diversity, not just in culture, not just in ethnicity and nationality, but globally. And so that's why we are a global organization.
I love that. I love that. So that's one of the speakers.
Yes,
About another one of the speakers that you're having.
sure,
Mhm.
sure. We also have a Dial Jensen who's dialed both. Marjorie is in what we call, and I, by the way, I do sit on full disclosure, I do sit on the WPO board. I was
Yeah,
elected.
after 17 years, I would think so. You're pretty
Yeah,
much like there. Yeah, yeah,
I
you're
was
part of that.
elected back in December. So Marjorie Krause was the chair of the WPO organization. And so the other speaker is Dial Jensen. Dial Jensen is more in cloud, boom cloud. That's not my lane, but that's what her expertise is. And she's the Zenith group are those women who do over 50
Wow.
million and above. Dial is one of
Okay.
the 50 fastest woman led companies in the country. And
Yeah.
so Dow is one of our speakers. And you'll notice our platform is very diverse. So we have Dow, she's going to be speaking of that about that. And then I'm excited that I had the opportunity to on Monday to interview a fireside chat with Tamara Chapman.
Oh,
Tamara
good.
Chapman, you know Tamara. I think she's
Michigan. Yes. Yes.
yes,
She went
yes.
to Michigan State, by the way, but that's okay.
What'd you say?
She went to Michigan State.
I love her anyway. Tamara is I'll have a speaking engagement with her. Phenomenal woman. 50 fastest, I think number 8,
Hmm.
50 fastest. She is entrepreneur, EY entrepreneur of the
Yes.
year. Her honors go on and on and on. She was an attorney. She's a
Hmm.
licensed, practicing attorney. And then she decided to shift and she's gone into the e-commerce space. That's another opportunity for women that we don't know about that we can dive into. Uh,
And crushing it. And crushing it.
crushing.
What I love about your conference is that you put together, you curate top women together, and your conferences are so intimate, meaning that people can really get to know them. And I
Yes.
always say people that show up go up, and you go up by, who you're networking with, who you're
Hmm.
around, and putting, your conference together, bringing in women that are the zenith and that kind of thing, women that are doing over 100 million. It helps for aspiration, but also you're just sharing information as well
Exactly.
so that they can get there. And you're really laying out the roadmap for that. And what women elevating women, when people join the group, you're mentoring and you're doing what they
Hmm.
call peer mentoring. So kind of tell us about that premise.
Sure.
That's
I love
different.
talking about wood too. So one of the things that we do, we have a partnership, a relationship with Women Presidents Organization. So we have mentored. In fact, let me just back up a little bit. In Woo, though we say 6 figures, that's my target. That's my avatar. I
Hmm.
do have women in there that are up to 15, 16 million.
Hmm.
So they just want to be a part of it.
Hmm.
So what we have a program where we do get mentors from WPO or WOO members who have that revenue above that $1 million to mentor with a lot for our cohort program. That's the women who are doing like about 100 to 500, but they might just need a little bit more business acumen, or it's someone who just came out of corporate America and but they have had 6 figures and they're trying to start. So that's a program that's 9 months, and they are assigned a mentor. And so
Hmm.
this year we got mentors from South Africa, from all over. that say, yeah, I want to be a part of this.
Wow.
So yeah, that's beautiful. The other beauty of being part of WOO is that our full members, our members at large, and our pinnacle of WOO, they get an invitation to the Women Presidents Organization's annual conference. Don't call it conference anymore. They started calling it forum,
Mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
and they pay WPO member rates. And I believe Pam, you were at the
Mm-hmm.
so you got a chance to see
In
800
Vegas.
plus
Yes.
amazing women.
Yes. Oh
And
my
when you're
God.
at that conference, women, they're not looking to say, well, what are your revenues? The fact that you're there, that you have an invitation, everybody's interacting with each other,
Mm-hmm.
sharing information, and making some very strong, powerful business connections.
I love it. It was I felt so I think you did the fireside chat with the president of the Las Vegas Rams. Phenomenal
Oh
woman.
yeah, that
Oh my God.
wasn't that something else?
I mean, to be in the room with her and then to hear her and then to take pictures with her and then your keynote speaker, Jade. Oh my
She
God.
was unbelievable.
She
She will
was
be, yes,
unbelievable.
she will be at the conference at the Entrepreneur Woman of Impact. And we'll talk
Yes.
about that, I'm sure, a little bit later.
Oh my
But she
God.
will be there. Yeah, she will be there. Jade is being honored. Yeah,
All right. Well, let's quickly, Monet, go through this so we can get to the center spread and she can tell us about the
sure.
entrepreneurial conference. So, obviously, the cover we've got this really talking about tapping into uh, what I call tapping into the warrior within, move from the pit to the palace, and it's one of the speakers that's featured in here. It's the name of her book, Tap into the Warrior Within. So, on the next page is obviously our table of contents and that sort of thing. Where I talk about my brand new PR service. This is really cutting edge. It just guarantees PR placement. People are like, oh my God, how can you do that? Or I see you everywhere. That's what this service does. Ready, Set, Go, Speak. That's the podcast and the membership program. Really, it's all geared towards PR and really branding so that people are who are speakers that really get out there and get known. That's part of it as well. But then when you look at the next page, you'll see a picture of Sharon. You go to there, Monet.
Yes.
I know going through fast. You'll see that that was from that WPO conference. That your
Hmm.
picture is in there. Sharon Morton, good friend of mine. I think Gloria's in there, and anyway, so it's
Hmm.
when I
Yeah.
tell you that the relationships are real. They're like IRL, right, in real life. So you can pick up the phone, you can call them and text them. It's not just
Hmm.
like a conference where you're just spoken to and whatever. But that was pictures from that event as well. Tiana Myers, really a breakout speaker there. You read about her. So one of the things, Monet, if you kind of hover over each page, they can see that there's videos embedded into each one. So when you get the magazine, go to speakersmagazine.com. You'll not only read it, but you'll watch the magazine as well.
Hmm.
The same thing on Mastering the Mic. Brian Olds, that's our uh, Black Speakers Network founder president. That's his sizzle reel there that you will see that's in there that's hovered over there. But he talks about mastering the mic. But one of the things I asked Brian to write about is taming unruly audiences with elegance. So you may have like hecklers, just like comedians would have, but sometimes
Yes.
when you're speaking, you can have some people like that that are yelling things out. It's like how to handle that with elegance. Remember that direct eye contact, um it- it- if all else fails, utilize the power of a pause. Just he talks about how to do that because if you've ever been a speaker and you've had someone where it's like you're not really following along with what I'm trying to teach you, then he tells you how to do that. Veronica Brooks, another one that is igniting purpose and building wealth. She's one of the people that really talks about, she has a doctorate in humanities and social science, but she's a founder of Wealth Palace magazine. Read about her. Her video was in there as well as all the contact information. But she will help people awaken the warrior within. Is the name of her memoir. The next page really talks about Betty. So this is where I want to kind of like go a little bit with the event that she has, and just give us a transition of how it started and how it's going.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm very excited. Each year we perfect it. We launched. We're celebrating our 5th anniversary,
Mm,
so we beta tested the concept of Woo in DC and the Baltimore area and in Atlanta. And so we saw that people really embraced it. And that was an in person. Then, pow, March, COVID hit.
2020. Mm-hmm.
Yep, March. Yeah. In fact, we launched Woo in during International Women's Month for the sole purpose of inclusiveness of all women. So
Mm-hmm.
March of 2020, in fact, we had our conference, and I think the very next day, DC and everything was shutting down.
Wow.
So one of our speakers from Canada panelists had a hard time getting back. But yeah, that's what's it. So then what we did, we just like everybody had a pivot, we shifted, and we did virtual.
Mm-hmm.
And we did virtual meetings. We did a couple of virtual meetings, which was a challenge because you can't have people staring at the screen forever. So
Right.
we did like 3 hours with commercials, and then there was a need like, no, we want to have these peer advisory groups. That is where it was birthed. Okay, we're going to have peer advisory groups, but we're going to do them virtual.
Mm-hmm.
So we might have, I keep the different time zones in respects. So the one from Nairobi, of course, I'm not having her at a 3 o'clock peer advisory group meeting
in the morning, right?
Exactly, and the same with the West Coast. They're not doing a 9 a.m. peer advisory group, but you're going to find people from the different north, south, west, east, different countries. Canada, we have a lot of Canadians, and then we're really penetrating South Africa that are in our Woo crews. I'm not trying to conquer the world, just so we're clear. I will never need more or looking to have more than 5 Woo crews.
Okay.
Okay. Never looking to do more than that because we are the airport model. We scale the person to 1 million, and once they take off, then we hand them to the WPO organization to be placed because they have 130 something chapters around the world. Ooh. So we place them in a WPO chapter so they have a broader platform. Some choose to go, some choose to stay as a full member. And then some say, okay, but I still want to be a part of Woo. I'll be a member at large. And then some just say, nah, I feel like I belong. And that's like my pinnacle, because the pinnacle, you have to, the gross revenue is over 10 million. And that's, again, that's not what I'm recruiting for Woo. I do that for my WPO Platinum, but it's not what I'm doing for Woo. But they want to be part of it. And so I'm just grateful that they want to be engaged in either as a speaker or mentoring some of the members in our organization.
I love that. I love that. So you have an awards program also at your conference that's coming up as well. So don't tell us, I guess you can't tell us who the winners are.
Yeah, I can. I don't have the list in front of me. It's on the website. It's on
it's on the website, so they can go to the
all the winners have been notified. It's honoring each one of our pillars. So, under the courage pillar, and our courage pillar is courage to take care of your health and courage to take care of your wealth. So we have 5 honorees under that pillar, a combination of medical professionals and financial service professional. That's like 5 women. And then we have the cultivate pillar. The cultivate is what we also do. We, in our way of giving back, because if you model successful entrepreneurs and executives, they're always giving back. Yeah. They're sitting on nonprofit boards or something. So our give back is that we gift a membership to a nonprofit organization in each one of our Woo crews. So these are women who model helping others, cultivating young women entrepreneurs or just anybody in general. So we have 5 people there. Then we have 5 under our collaborate pillar. And I talk about that all the time.
That is it.
We as women need to learn how to collaborate more. And the successful entrepreneurs and executives, they know how to collaborate. They know how to collaborate with up and down.
And so I will tell you one quick little testimony. Sure. Went to WPO, and I'm going to be collaborating with someone that I met there, who's living in Minneapolis. And so when I come to Minneapolis, the 18th through the 20th, I'll be seeing her as well. So collaborating on different projects, PR projects as well. And that was just because you had them at WPO, you also had like a little private part too for your Woo members as well. So I met her there. So it's a larger thing and then the smaller thing of, women of color. And I think you had the Women Entrepreneurial Awards as well. That was where we met in that part. And it was sponsored by JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah, that was the big announcement. Yes, in Las Vegas at the WPO forum. I've been saying conference for so long. It's going to be
now it's hard to say forum, right?
Yeah, but at the WPO forum, it was announced at the JP Morgan Chase Lounge, the partnership between Woo, WPO, and sponsored by JP Morgan Chase. And then we
Ah,
did a champagne toast, and we were just thrilled
yes.
that they embody what we're trying to do. So the other pillar is connect. We talked about the connections, and it's communicate. Our communicate pillar is really right up your alley, Pam.
Mm-hmm.
It's about branding, the
Yes.
personal and the business branding. And so we have individuals that we have under the communicate pillar. But the stars, something that I did in my first conference with a Woo, is I had a stage on visionary men, because we don't want to leave men out of this. I mean, men play a very pivotal role
Oh, yeah,
in our
definitely.
ecosystem. So we are honoring 13 visionary men.
Oh, good,
And
good.
I am just so thrilled of who we're honoring. And the list is there. I'm going to miss some of the names if I start calling them, but
Right, right, right. But they can go to
they can go to the
woocrew.com.
website. But they're
Monet, can you put
connecting.
that site up there, the for that one as well? Yeah, there we go. Okay,
Yes,
yes.
and you'll see 13 visionary men. And in fact, the last day on Wednesday morning after our breakfast, I'm going to be entering four of those visionary men on stage. And I can mention those: Maubrey, Roland, very successful young man, one stop tax, Andreas, I'm going to forget how to pronounce his last name. I'm going to have these names written down phonetically. Uh,
Phonetically, for
Yes,
sure, for
I'm going to have
sure.
him, and then I'm going to have Moses Harris, who is the senior vice president out of Wells Fargo, and Damara Badu. Apologize, I know I slaughtered that name, but he's out of Canada and he's in commercial development. So these men I will be sitting. Oh, and Jose Villafane, he is Hispanic, and he owns all I think it's 36 radio station, all Spanish speaking in the
Mhm.
U.S.
And it's
So,
just important to show up and be in the room
oh,
because it's
absolutely,
an opportunity. I mean,
absolutely,
you could probably all I mean, there's never going to be an opportunity where you're going to meet all of those type of people in one place. You can
right.
maybe be a part of organizations or this and that, but one of the things is that it's a small enough conference where you can actually have FaceTime with people.
You
And if you
can.
are a serious business person, or even if you're a person that would like to do training, there's a lot of speakers that are in Speakers Magazine that are trainers, and corporations are looking for people that do leadership training, emotional
Hmm.
intelligence training, team buildings, those kind of things. So letting people know, I'm all about PR and definitely making your message known through the media, but nothing beats face to face. All right. So to be
Absolutely.
clear, but the PR helps you with the branding so that people are
Hmm.
familiar with you. But
Right.
you have to show up in order to go up in your business and in your career. So I really,
Mhm.
really love the fact that you're doing that. And so your pillars, again, this is in the article here,
Yes.
are courage, connect, collaborate, cultivate, and communicate. Those are all the things. You can read those there as well. But she has a global vision that she talks about there. The recognition that she gives the ladies as well at the event. But it's one of the things where it's they elevate, and the acceleration conference, elevations acceleration is the name again. It's what my signature thing. Those that show up go up. So you want to elevate and you want to
That's
accelerate.
right. I love that. Yes.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. So
Uh-huh.
the next one is a member that you know. On the next page, her name is Yamilka. I love her, and
Yes. Yes.
she's a branding expert. If you hover over that,
Jamaica is
Monet,
something
yeah,
special.
that
Yes.
is her TED Talk, that is in there. That's her video. She's done a TEDx talk, and
Uh-huh.
it's again on branding and that sort of thing. But she talks about the art of creating fame.
Hmm.
So when she knew that you were going to be on the cover, and I said, "Yeah, Milka," we had a conversation again. We reached out, we talked to each other. I said, "You need to be in this issue." She said, "Of course," because she wrote a book, and her
Hmm.
book basically talks about branding as well. So this one talks about the architects. So
Yep.
you want to
Yep.
read that closer and watch her TED talk, her TEDx
Yes.
talk as well. This young lady is from Arkansas, Miss Shalitha, Dr. Shalitha Jones. Elevates patient advocacy through engaging outreach. If you don't know her, you should know her. She is amazing. She's part of Arkansas Medical, Dental, and Pharmaceutical Association. She's a
Hmm.
Delta. She speaks. She's been on Fox 16 and different thing, but she does a thing like Let's Chat with Dr. Sean, because she basically does this. Her thing is really sharing about health awareness, really the
Great.
wellness. She's got a 501c3, and anyway, she's doing all the things besides being a doctor, right? It's just a voice of health education. People go to doctors when they're sick, but doctors should really tell you how to stay well. And
Yep.
that's that's her mission. So I love her as well. The next one talks about a journey from pain to purpose. This young lady's book is actually coming out on the 15th. Her video is there, but Dr. Gail James, she is internationally, she's from Florida. I mean, she lives in Florida now, but I think she originally was born in the Virgin Islands. When you read just the beginning of some of the things she's went through in this book, you'll be like, oh my God, how does she even come out of that, much less become a doctor and helping
Mhm.
other people? Very wealthy businesswoman, doing really, really good. The gentleman on the side, a lot of creatives, our speakers. He's a playwright, an author, a poet, songwriter, but also a speaker. So sometimes, just like with Jade, when you had Jade, she's a pianist, she's a classical pianist, but then she speaks.
Yes.
So songwriters and poets, they have other things that they could talk about as well. So just really checking out that as well. His video is there. You can read about that. And then the last one is a nurse. So you would think like, well, what does a nurse, what kind of things? But she has a nonprofit, and one of the things that she does is that she helps women and girls really just step into their greatness. So one of the things, she
Mhm.
has a university, online university, and then she has a book too called The Path to Emotional Greatness, Yielding Personal Transformation. So really she talks with women and girls about personal transformation. And then this last page here is Upstage Play, another person that has written a book. They wrote this book 20 years ago. It's kind of like a Waiting to Exhale type of a book. And now she made it a stage play. Kim Brooks is her debut stage play, which is debuting on Sweetest Day weekend. Jewel Tankard is in there. People probably know Jewel Tanker. Her husband is Ben Tanker, but she's been on a lot of TV shows as well. And then the gentleman there, his name is Reggie Ballard. Bruh man from Martin, the brother from the fifth floor, they always would say. So he's in it as well. It's a lively, funny play about the dating situation
Mm.
that's going on today, and Kim kind of brings it to life and just gives it a whole new spin. So I really, really love the fact that she's bringing that, and she's a speaker as well. She's a speaker, of course. All of them are speaker. And then the last page, it really talks about a conference that's coming up in October in Chicago. Michelle McKinney Hammond. A lot of people know her. She's written over 40 books, a couple of them novels, but most of them nonfiction. And her conference is the Diva Principle. And it does not mean diva like we think. I think it's divinely inspiring, victorious attitude principle. And that's what hers is. And she lives in Ghana now, but she's from
Hmm.
Chicago. She's coming back. So I'm
Okay.
really excited about her conference as well. That's the 13th through the 14th in October. But that is our issue. It is jam packed. Again, a
Yes.
video of Michelle on the back. Kind of hover over that a little bit, Monet. Her video, I believe, is there. Yeah. So if we click it, will go out. But if you click that video, oh my God, she is amazing. Can you click it without us going out? Yeah, okay, so just play in screen. So just right there, if nothing else, make sure you go to the magazine and read and listen to her talking about Get Up. It's motivational, inspirational. She does
Mhm.
all the things that really inspires women to just get up and get going.
Mm.
So read the magazine, click the links. You can even download it for free. The magazine really is the purpose of it, and Brian and I are on alignment that is really just promote and elevate Black speakers.
Mm.
Black speakers. That's really our main mission, to make sure that they're better in the career, that better in their information that they know. I'm so glad that you're on the cover. I mean,
Thank you. Thank you.
this is
Thank you. Thank you.
really and I want to say this. This is body language is everything. So Betty right here on the cover, in terms of body language, you look at that, she's very serious, but she's also loving. This one right here, this is the power pose. Like, I know what I'm talking about. So I just like so I love those two poses. It was like because sometimes each one we're putting together and it's like, oh my God,
Mhm.
this was our very first cover. This was 2017. This is George Frazier.
Okay.
Gentleman with the mic, very, very serious,
Mhm.
that kind of thing. So I always try to have the personality of the person, that, especially knowing them, what it is that I see and that I want to other people to, have portrayed to other people as well. So this is really, really good. So they can download it. They can come to the conference and actually get a physical copy as well, because they'll
Yes.
be getting them out free. Not everybody gets a physical copy. Only the conference people get the physical copy. Okay. We don't print them like in mass. Okay. Only the conference, but you can read it online. You can
Yes.
always do that. But if you want to come to the conference, you've got to go to Woo Crew, WEW crew.com, and actually find out more about it, how to join Woo. If you are a speaker, it's a really great place to really network and to go to the
Mm,
next level. Uh, because the speaking is a business. It's not just you running your mouth.
yeah.
It's a business. So that's a whole nother conversation. I have an event coming up called Speak, Sell, Shine, Invitation Only. It's like, okay, people are speaking. Now we got to learn how to sell so that you can shine.
Mhm.
So that's a whole nother thing, because it's about business. I love the fact that you're from the finance industry, so you can tell people, where's your money? It's like, let's get to this money. Let's get this part
Right.
right. Let's get that straight, because most businesses go out of business in 5 years.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, only 4% of women are making over $1 million in revenue.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. I'm like, what? So anyway, so we've
Mhm.
got to do better. So Woo Crew, thank you so much. Thank you, Betty Hines, for joining
Thank
Speakers
you. Thank
Magazine.
you. I appreciate you,
I
Pam.
can't wait to see you in September. It's the 18th through the 20th.
I
There's
will see you.
there's so much going on there. We didn't even talk about it all, because you have another event that you're doing, and I mean, there's a lot. So I just show up, show up. That's the main thing, and then just join the group, join the group. All righty. Well, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
joining us. Thank you. All right, guys.